Okay, we're now in lesson 07 begin, and we're going to start creating kind of our overall groom. Now, the actual grooming process is something that takes a while. There's no way I could ever do the entire thing in just, a quick 10-minute session or even multiple 10-minute sessions. It's something, just like modeling or texturing that you need to kind of slave over for a little while. So keep in mind that I will be doing some work probably between lessons. I'll always let you know what I've done in between those lessons. Uh, and I'm trying to, it's kind of just make that the busy work. Any major change, I'm going to show you guys in the tutorials. So let me explain a couple things that I have changed since the last lesson. I've not done any grooming yet. This is a nice clean version though. You can see I just went ahead and used this reset button over here to get rid of any of the strokes I'd put on here. What I did do is up my density to 150. What I decided was that I don't want to necessarily go up and down too much. What I'm going to do instead is make use of this mask feature. So even though my maximum density is 150, I could always display it just maybe 50%, and that'll be a little bit easier for me to comb. You can see if I come across here and actually do some quick combing there, I could always bring this up to 1, and you could see that all still retains. I can even put this down to 0.1. You can see I have a much more simplified version, and then again put this back up to 1, and you can see it retains that data. There's a little bit of interpolation issue, but it's pretty minor. I'm going to go ahead and hit reset here. There we go, everything goes back to normal. So I also thickened these up a little bit. I would put the width to 0.75, and these are cards. What I'm also going to do is unsync this density from the primitives here. I'm going to need way more than 150 for rendering. So rather than causing problems later, I'm just going to unsync that now. So those two are no longer connected together. So the way I like to begin my groom is a bit heavy-handed. I'm going to go ahead and use my pose brush here, and I'm going to use B. I'm going to hold that down. Oops, let me undo that there. And click and drag to increase the size. And I'm just going to kind of run across my surface and do kind of a big overall groom. Just kind of try to get everything moving in the directions that I think should be moving. Oops, sorry, I accidentally expanded the whole window there. Now you're going to find that things begin kind of digging into the surface very quickly. Don't worry too much about that. I'll show you in just a moment how we can correct that. I'm just going to run through here and again do some quick basic grooming. You can see it's getting a little dense in here. Let's go ahead and drop our mask to 0.5, and that'll just be a little bit easier for me to continue grooming. This is getting a little strong. I'm probably going to put my orientation to 4 and my 0.4 and my bend to 0.4. Sorry, messed that one up there. Go ahead and now I'm going to flip this over, but I'm just trying to get kind of an overall groom kind of in those center areas there. So I'm just bringing that down. We're going to refine everything here. It's easier to kind of get at least things going in roughly the correct direction. And the hands I know don't have any fur, but I know the tops of the hands do. So I'm just kind of combing that down and over. So let's take a quick look at what we have here. I'm going to switch to lines temporarily. There we go. Just to see if things are kind of going in the direction they should be. Could be a little tough under the arms here. Now, I'm going to ultimately use probably gorillas as reference. I've kind of more or less decided I'm doing a weird Bigfoot whatever kind of fur. So that's probably going to be the best reference I'm going to be able to use. And gorillas actually don't have much hair on their chests. The younger ones do, but the older ones don't. However, since this is about fur, I will keep kind of fur on the chest. And again, if this is a Bigfoot, then who knows, maybe it does have fur on its chest. But the cool thing about the gorillas, and I would assume them Bigfoots, is that the fur is going to be much shorter up on the chest here and even down on the stomach. It'll get a bit longer on the sides and a little longer on the shoulders, and it'll get much longer on the forearms and around the hands, and it gets really kind of gnarly down there as well. It gets matted down. So that'll be some fun stuff to play with. I'm going to go ahead and mirror this over. Let's go ahead and hit, remember, use reality check here. This is the side that's looking good. This is his actual left, so we want to actually flip to the right. There we go. Now you'll notice a couple areas here have gotten kind of stuck inward. That's because it's not really detecting collision, so I accidentally combed the fur right into his body. We can fix that pretty easy. If I come up over here, I have a tool called Elevation. Go ahead and select that. And here, again, spacing we have, I need to tell it how many degrees at a time it's rotating them and what the final goal angle is. I'm going to tell it to do maybe 2 degrees at a time, but never go past 30 degrees. And you can see I can kind of come in here and bring those areas back out. There we go. Any place where I've had any kind of major interpenetration. And it's also a nice way just to kind of lift the fur up off of the surface. You know, like over here, I've kind of pushed it down into the neck a little too much. So I can go in there and lift that up. Especially here where maybe the fur should stick out quite a bit around the shoulders. I can lift it up somewhat as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. Again, we'll just say flip to right. You'll notice this seam here is getting a little bit obvious. This is going to keep happening when I keep flipping. You know, it's I can try to, you know, close that up. But honestly, we'll be able to clean it up later using some tools like Smooth. For now, I'm just going to continue using this elevation a bit just to fix any of those areas. I'm probably going to go up to maybe 5 degrees just to kind of get it a little bit off of that surface. Everything's kind of just stuck a little bit too close. Now, notice I no longer have an effect over here. That's because I've hit that goal of 30. So I'm going to increase this to 60 now. And that'll give me a little bit more play in that brush. Okay. Now, things are looking pretty good here, looking through the line mode. And again, that can be a little deceiving. Things kind of always look clearer here because, you know, the lines are only ever going to have 1 pixel thickness. So I should probably come in and see how this looks using my cards. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll come down here to cards. And it actually doesn't look bad here either. Don't worry when you get these weird kind of artifacts like that. That just tends to happen you know, when we're showing that many primitives at once. We could always turn on right here the anti-aliasing, and that can actually smooth that preview out a bit at the expense of speed. Okay. So I think my overall comb is looking pretty good. I'm just going to continue lifting stuff out of here. There we go. So everything's roughly oriented in the direction it should be. I'm sure I'll find issues as I kind of move through and begin previewing things. This is starting to stick up a little bit. I might come over here and grab my pose and kind of lightly kind of brush that back into the proper direction. So what I'm going to do is probably end this lesson here. Again, nothing too complex. Little weirdness right there. Let me grab my elevation brush, just kind of pop that stuff back out a little bit. And what we're going to do in the next lesson is take a look at a few more tools. We're going to take a look at working with length, because I obviously want to begin lengthening and shortening the fur in certain key areas. And I also want to start taking a look at beginning to kind of fix more errors using brushes like our Smooth brush over here. So I'm going to go ahead and end things here, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.